Yeah, welcome back again. Today, in this video, we'll be looking at motivation. We talked about it in the last video. If you remember, in the last video, we started this course. We looked at what is entrepreneurship. We looked at who is an entrepreneur. We looked at the difference between an entrepreneur and a businessman, and what are the key components of an entrepreneur. We looked at the characteristics of an entrepreneur. We looked at the theme as examined by different researchers or scholars. We look at different definitions of entrepreneur among others. But there is an aspect we are looking at today, which is motivation being one of the reasons, being one of the characteristics expected of an entrepreneur. But we are digging deeper into it in the sense that we want to see what actually motivates someone to becoming an entrepreneur. You understand? So why did you choose becoming an entrepreneur? What motivated you becoming an entrepreneur? And we'll be looking at the bright and the dark side of entrepreneurial motivation. Okay, what makes someone take the step? Okay, and how does even creativity and innovation, how do they come into entrepreneurship? Okay, now let's start. Let's imagine me asking you, why do you want to become an entrepreneur? What would be your answer? Some will answer me, oh yeah, I want to make money. Some will say, yeah, I want to be my own boss. Anyway, these are valid answers, but motivation goes deeper than that. Motivation is seen as something that pushes you to act. It is not about what you want to become, it's about what pushes you to act. It is that internal engine that keeps running, okay? Even when things are going tough. Several researchers, people like Shane, Locke, and Collins, they studied this very deeply and they found that some people are more drawn to entrepreneurship than others. And why? They said due to their internal motives. That is because of internal motivation. So there is this concept that is called trait approach. This trait approach was discovered by researchers where they try to list all the unique traits of entrepreneurs, and they list all the traits that okay, for entrepreneurs you must have this. Things like being adventurous, being confident, being hardworking. But here is the catch. Not every successful entrepreneur has all these traits. So motivation is not one size fits all. Okay? So you can't say that because this person is called an entrepreneur and is outspoken, so every entrepreneur is expected to be outspoken. No. You can't say because this person is confident, so every entrepreneur is expected to be confident. No. Okay? So this is actually what this topic is talking about. That what actually motivated people, like what triggered triggered you into becoming an entrepreneur. Okay, let's now look at the bright side. That is those motivations that inspire and empower entrepreneurs. Those are the bright side of the motivation. Okay, they are the bright side of they are the positive and the empowering traits. And the number one is, let me scroll so that you can be following me. Number one of them is entrepreneurial motivation, the need for achievement. Number one on the list is the need for achievement. Have you ever, at one point in time, you just feel like I want to prove myself? Then I'm going to get myself into this thing. Although that thing is very big, but you don't give a damn. You say I must get into it and prove myself. That very thing, that's the need for achievement. That is the kind of motivation we're talking about. Entrepreneurs, they are very high in this need. They love setting goals, they love working hard, they love seeing results. They prefer challenges that are not too easy and not too impossible. Just right, because they want to test themselves. Okay? They want to just go beyond the boundary. They just want to set a goal that looks so gigantic, and then you see them going after it. Okay? Have you ever taken on a task just because you wanted to prove you could do it? That's a glimpse of an entrepreneurial spirit. You just pick up on something, you said, oh yeah, I want to make sure that I achieve this thing. I want to prove that I can do it. That is the bright side of entrepreneurial motivation. And that side is called need for achievement. You saw that I need to prove. It's just like people talking you down. You now said, oh no, I'm going to prove myself, take on this thing, then I will achieve it. The second one is risk taking propensity. And we should note also that entrepreneurs are not gamblers, but they are what? They are risk takers. The key word is moderate risk. You understand? You don't just take risk, you take calculated risk. They assess situation, they weigh the odds, they take the plunge. It's not about jumping without parachute. Okay? They take calculated risk. It is making sure the parachute works before you leap. Don't just jump into a parachute. You just make sure that, oh, is this parachute okay? If I jump into it, what are the possibilities of places where I will land into and all that? That's risk taking propensity. Okay? Some like taking risk, and that propensity, that is one of the motivation. Okay? The next one is tolerance for ambiguity. Let me ask you this. How many of you feel nervous when you don't know what's going to happen next? Right? You'll be very nervous. Okay? Now, entrepreneurs often work in uncertainty. There are no guarantees. You just see them, they getting into something that nobody has gotten into. You just see them dabbling into it, then they try to adapt into it. They embrace the unknown. That's the critical mindset. Like, you see them getting into what seems to be unreal. And why? Because they want to dive through it, come out of it, and that is one of the motivation as the bright side of the motivation. The next one is locus of control. This one is psychological. This is example. If you believe your actions determine your future, you have an internal locus of control. But if you think faith or luck decides everything, that's external. Do you understand? If you believe that your action determines your future, this propels you to put more effort into acting, propels you into doing more, propels you into giving more so that you can achieve better. Okay? That is internal locus of control. But in a situation where you believe that everything depends on faith and luck, they are external. Okay? They are external. But when we are talking about entrepreneur, they always tend to say, I can change my destiny. You understand? They always believe that they have their futures in their hand. That is internal. It pushes them to act. The next one is self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is just like a fancy way of saying self-confidence in specific abilities. It is that belief that I can do it. It's the belief that you always have that I can do it. You as an entrepreneur, you need it. If you don't believe in yourself, then who else will? Okay? How can you even convince people about your vision or whatever? Okay? If you do not believe in yourself, how can you convince anyone else? For example, the customers, for example, your investors, even the employees. Okay. The next one is your desire for independence. The other time we looked at the fathers, entrepreneurs are self-sufficient. They are usually independent. Not that they do not like collaboration, not that they do not like team, but they always see it as a support without which they can still move. Okay. Now, this is one of the motivation for entrepreneurs. Desire for independence. This is a big one. Some people just don't want being told what to do. Okay. They just want to set their own boundary. They want to set their own rule. They want to set their own schedule. Entrepreneurs often want freedom. Freedom as to, okay, this is the time I want to sleep. After I've worked all night while others are sleeping, they want to just set their time financially. They don't want to depend on salary. Financially, they don't want anybody to determine how much they are going to earn. They want to say, okay, yeah, I've earned enough today, so let me go back to bed. You understand? So the desire for independence. The next one is drive. Drive is about ambition, energy, goals, and not giving up. It is not just wanting something. It's about putting in the work day after day to make it happen. You know, when you have the drive, it serves as motivation. This concept refers to the willingness to put forth effort. Not that you are just sitting there, I have the vision that I want to do this, but you are sleeping. You understand? That's it's not one of the motivation. What you need is the drive, being one of the motivation. After you've gotten the vision, you've gotten the idea, you push further, drive the vision onto reality. Drive the vision onto reality. The next one is egoistic passion. Egoistic passion. This might sound very strange, right? It simply means loving what you do so much that you give it all. You love it, you love what you are doing, you enjoy what you are doing. It could be work, it could be something that you enjoy doing. Then you give everything to it because maybe it arouses you, maybe it helps you, maybe you enjoy it, it increases your ego. So you just feel like, okay, this is where I am born to be. Then you give your all. It could be teaching. If you do enjoy it, then you put your all into it. It could be a business, then you put your all into it. It is believed that this is one of the bright sides of motivation. Egoistic passion. You have passion for this. Don't be surprised. It might also be negative egoistic passion. If it is for example, somebody that is negatively passionate about something, not because everybody is enjoying it, but because he is personally enjoying it, and it is not good, it's detrimental, but you see him putting all his effort into it. What is motivating that person? It's not what he's doing, but the fact that he's enjoying it, is finding comfort in what he's doing. Such is called egoistic passion. Egoistic passion. Now, as we have the bright side of entrepreneurship motivation, we also have the dark side of entrepreneurship motivation. When we are talking about the dark side, okay, sometimes when we're talking about the dark side of entrepreneurial motivation, not all motivations are rosy, like we saw in the bright side of it. There is a dark side also, not evil though, anyway, but more like the pressures or circumstances that push people into entrepreneurship. It's not something that you want to do, but you just realize that you find yourself into entrepreneurship, not because you want to do, but because of circumstances that push you into it. An example is this opportunity cost. Sometimes people start a business because their current job is not worth it anymore. You don't tell me that that person is starting that out of joy. He's not starting it because he's enjoying it, but he's starting because the current job is not favorable to him again. Maybe the returns coming from it is not favorable. So you see him quitting. If you are earning little, you have less to lose by quitting. So the lower your opportunity cost, the more attractive entrepreneurship becomes. You see many people dropping off their their sack letter, that their resignation letter, that I don't want to work there. The time I'm spending there, if I put it into entrepreneurship, I will gain more. You understand? Not because they wanted to gain more, but simply because where they were was no longer favorable to them. That's the dark side of entrepreneurship motivation. That's opportunity cost. The second one is stocks of financial capital. This refers to the amount of money an individual is able to accumulate or stock. It takes money to start a business. Those who have saved up, often older individuals, have the resources to take that step. You understand? So when you have saved up, you feel like, okay, since I've saved up now, so let me expend what I've saved now to establish myself, to get into entrepreneurship. Not because you really want to, but simply because you have saved up. Mind you, you are saving up. Saving is not easy. Saving is not favorite. Saving is not rosy. But you saved up so that you can start entrepreneurship. So that is the dark side, because you could as well have used what you have saved. You could have used it to enjoy yourself, maybe travel out and do all of that. But you just said, okay, let me deny myself this enjoyment of now. Let me use all that I've saved to start entrepreneurship. That's it. That one is called stocks of financial capital. The next one is social ties to investors. You know the saying that it is not what you know, it is who you know. They apply it is that rule now that applies here. If you have friends or family with money or connection, that social capital can help launch your business. I'm connected to you, you are connected to Dangote. Okay? I'm connected to you, you are connected to Otedola. I'm connected to you, you are connected to T.Y. Danjuma. So in that situation, I'll feel like, let me tap on you so that you help me tap on people that can help me start something. Now you realize that is not starting because of the fact that I want to start, simply because it is simply because I realize that I have the connection that is favorable for me to start. The importance of social embedding. The importance of social embedding in the creation of new businesses has been appreciated by these scholars of entrepreneurship, Aldrich and Zimmerman. I say, note that entrepreneurs are highly social actors, and they actively embed themselves in social context. Embed themselves in it, they connect themselves in entrepreneurship. The next one we're going to be looking at is career experience. If you've been working in an industry for years and you are fed up, or you see a better way of doing something, you might say, okay, why don't I do this myself? Boom, you're on your way to becoming an entrepreneur. Why? Because you have gathered experience. It is as a result of experience you are launching out becoming an entrepreneur. You understand? So in a situation where you've found yourself in a situation, you've learned so much, and you now come up with the fact that instead of me staying put here, this experience I've been able to gather is enough for me to start something. Then you pull out. It's not favorable, mind you. That one is not favorable. You are pulling out of comfort to discomfort. Okay, that's the dark side of motivation. Okay, the next one we're going to be looking at is life path consequence. Life path circumstances. Let's break this down into smaller parts. Number one, unsatisfactory work environment. You hate your job, you are underappreciated, you quit. Then you start your own business. Okay, you hate your job, or they do not appreciate you. Because of that, you quit and you start your business. When an individual is dissatisfied with his work, you find a new environment. Maybe the environment is not working condition is not conducive, or maybe rebellion is there. Then you quit. Then after quitting, then the next thing you're looking at is becoming an entrepreneur. Okay, that is life past circumstance. The next one is negative displacement. Maybe you lost your job, or someone close to you passed away, or there was a major life change event. This shake-up sometimes might push you to start afresh. Maybe the person you are staying with, God forbid, is no longer alive. Then you are forced to start life. You were under the cover of the person before, but now you were made to stand on your own. Now, standing on your own now implies that maybe you fell back on a particular savings that you've done, then you launch yourself into entrepreneurship. That is negative displacement. It's a life, in fact, it's lifeline circumstance, it's a life path. It's a circumstance that comes as a result of an experience that you are having in your life. The next one is career transition. Okay, say you switch careers or complete a course. This can be the perfect time to start a business. There are several courses where you could learn about entrepreneurship, and after learning, you now feel like, oh, I think I can switch my job from telecommunication. I can switch now to manufacturing. I can switch my businesses. I can switch the course of my career from banking. I can switch purely into entertainment. I can switch purely into another sector entirely because of the knowledge you've been able to gather. Okay, then you have a career transition. The next one is positive pull influences. This could be by mentors, your role models, or possibly family members, people who inspire or encourage you. They can make you take a leap. They push you, they give you a pull, they pull you that you can do this, you do this. That's an excellent one. This refers to centers of influence within the society, that is, individuals whom people look up to as mentors encourage a person to become an entrepreneur. I look up straight to you and I said, I'm seeing an entrepreneurial spirit in you, and you trust me. Maybe I'm your model, okay, and maybe I'm your mentor. You know, I say, oh, if my mentor could see this in me, let me go after it. You understand? What pulled you into becoming an entrepreneur isn't you. It was because of my very influence. The last one we are going to be looking at is background characteristics. Background characteristics. These are your family, the education, even your birth order can influence your path. Some say firstborns or only children are more likely to be entrepreneurs. Firstborns, why? Because they have burden on them. But really, anyone at any age can do it anyway. But the ideology that because of your background, you were forced, you will be forced. There's some conditions will force you becoming an entrepreneur, especially firstborns, in quotes, especially to somebody who has loads of responsibility on himself, possibly from family and all that. You will see the person tilting more towards becoming an entrepreneur because what is one source of income might not be able to sustain him, not just sustaining him and sustaining every other person's relying on him. So let's look at the next one, which has to do with creativity and entrepreneurship. Creativity and entrepreneurship. We have been able to look at the bright side of entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial motivation. We've been able to look at the dark side of entrepreneurial motivation. Be able to look at what exactly is even entrepreneurial motivation. But now let's look at creativity and entrepreneurship. You know, we talked about entrepreneurship being involving innovation and creativity, the two keywords. Entrepreneurship involving the fact that you're able to bring innovation and creativity, a process of you bringing innovation and creativity into into operation, okay, spearheading, managing, or controlling other factors of production, okay, for optimal benefits and all that. Now, when we are talking about creativity and innovation, let's try to look at these two words separately, okay. The creativity and entrepreneurship, they are two different words. They are actually not the same. Creativity is the ability to bring something new into existence. Mind my word, your activity to bring something new into existence. It is about maybe the ideation phase. On the other hand, when you're talking about creativity, you something that is entirely entirely new. You are bringing it into existence. Okay, like it is called ideation phase. Idea, then ideation phase. On the other hand, when we are talking about innovation, it is the process of making that new thing real. That new thing real. You conceive something, conceive something, you read about it, you did research about it, you this what you conceived on your head, you read, you are just at the point of creativity. You can share it with everybody. You are just sharing it. But a situation where you are now sitting down to actualize, to execute it, is what we tend to be innovation. You can think of creativity as thinking up a new dish, and innovation as actually cooking and serving it in a restaurant. You have a new dish. Oh yeah, what if I add this to this? What if you are at that point it is just creativity. But in a situation where you put this on a plate, you are serving people at the restaurant, you have made it real. Okay, that one is what we tend to be innovation. Example, a student sketches a design for water saving shower head. You sketch it down, that is creativity. But until they prototype it and sell it, it doesn't become innovation. Do you understand now? So let's explore the five stages of creative process. Number one is idea germination. Idea germination. Let me quickly rush there so that you can follow me through. Idea germination. When we are talking about idea germination, this is when the seed of an idea is born. It's like the time you are sleeping and an idea drops on your mind. Okay, it is often triggered by curiosity or a problem. Or maybe you find yourself on a queue and something just dropped on your mind. Why must everybody always stand on this queue every day waiting for bike or waiting for a cabman? Why don't we have the cabs in surplus? Why don't we even have Uber servicing us in this locality? Why? So at that point, it is idea germination. This is when the seed of an idea is born. So what triggers it usually is the curiosity or a problem. Think about it this way. What's one problem in your daily life you would love to solve? That's the seed. That's the seed. You understand? That's the seed. Okay. The next one is preparation. Preparation. The creative person now actively gathers information and explores potential solutions. Explore potential solutions. Explore potential solutions. Why? How? By gathering information. By what? Once a seed of curiosity has taken form as a focused idea, a creative person embark on conscious search for answers. If it is possible, if it is a problem rather, they are trying to solve, then they begin an intellectual journey of seeking information about the problem and how others have tried to solve the problem. Maybe they were successful or not. Inventors will set up laboratory experiments. Designers will begin engineering new items and all of that. Okay, that is the point of preparation. Now, the third one is incubation. Now, you let your subconscious do the work. You stop actively thinking about it. The idea simmers because now you've been able to gather the information. Okay, you conceived it, you're able to gather the information. Now, the idea is becoming real gradually. Real in the sense that it is still arbitrarily real, not that it is physically real. The idea, once seeded and given substance through preparation, is put on a back burner. The subconscious mind is allowed time to assimilate this information. You know, you went out, you gathered the information. Okay, I think I can do it this way. What if I gather up this? You allow it's like you put it in a cooler, you are allowing it to grow. You are allowing the seed to grow. That's the point of incubation. When you allow a sufficient time of incubation, when you launch eventually you'll be able to launch well because you will have been able to internalize all the information you gathered at the point of preparation. Okay. The next one is illumination. The next one is illumination. And that is the point where, boom, the moment arrives. The idea now has a structure and potential. Why? Because you spent time to incubate on the idea. You have spent time to do research on the idea. You have spent time to internalize the idea, actualize the idea inside of you. Then you'll be able to launch out. Illumination. This occurs when the idea surfaces as a realistic creation. Look at Dangote, for example. He imaginarily came up with the idea. He did his research. Okay, we will need this. I will need to import this. I will need to import this. What are the challenges I'm going to have? put all of them down. Then it took its time to internalize it. It's not all about me saying that, oh yeah, I want to travel, I want to travel. Then you took your, yeah, then you went out with your international passport straight to the airport and say, yeah, yeah, please everybody, I want to go. No, 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 no. It is an idea that you have that you want to travel out. Then you do your research that where am I going to travel? Where am I traveling to? What do I need to travel there? How do I get those things that I need to travel? How long will it take me? What resources will it take me? Those period of time, you prepare, you incubate, then illumination comes. The next one rather, is verification. Now comes the test. This is the idea realistic. Is this idea realistic or useful? Can it be developed into a product, service, or process? This is where prototypes, this is where market testing and validations come into play. Oh yeah, you've been able to actualize this. Then you see Dangote saying, yeah, we are launching today, but we are launching for free. Let people use our product first. Let them give us feedback. You understand? The same thing applies to software developers. This is the test period. They want to have feedback from people. You say, oh yeah, let's subject products. Let's suggest it to people's reviews and all that. Okay, that's verification. Now let's look at another one. Factors influencing individual creativity according to Adams 2005. Number one, knowledge. Number two, thinking. Number three, personal motivation. Number four, environment. Number five, decision to be creative. Number one again, let me go there. According to Adams, factors influencing individual creativity. Number one is knowledge. That is broad knowledge, deep wells of knowledge, broad sense, broad knowledge across areas and depth of it. It could help you to be creative. Another one is thinking. Synergistic. You are analytical, you are practical, you are creative. Okay, a very strong ability to generate novel ideas by combining previously disparate elements. You are just thinking, you are just thinking, you are just thinking. You are not the type that will say, no, 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 I don't want you to disturb my head now. It helps you. It helps you. Those are the factors that can influence your creativity. The next one is personal motivation, either intrinsic passion, as we have examined before. Personally, you are motivated deep down you to be creative, or extrinsic motivation. Maybe there is an event outside. We looked at the bright side and the dark side of it. So then you got your motivation for creativity from there. The next one is environment. Environment in the sense that a very conducive, a very safe, and a very motivating environment. If you grow in such, you want to establish this, there is always a grant for you. You need this, you need mentor. There is always a guidance and counseling area for you who will model you until you actualize your dream and all that. So when you have a very suiting, a safer space for experimentation and idea sharing, it helps you, it aids you being creative. The next one is decision to be creative. Creativity isn't always spontaneous. You sometimes need to make it intentional. Okay? That is, you are intentional about being creative, then you all go out to be creative. The last one is innovation and entrepreneurship. Innovation and entrepreneurship. We talked about creativity, right? And now let's talk about innovation. Let's dive into it. What is innovation? What exactly is innovation? This is creating value through new products, services, systems, or marketing. In simple term, in simple term, It has to do with creating value through new products, services, systems, or marketing. Adding value to something. It is basically value creation. The step of me taking the bottled water and adding flavor to it. Is it flavor? Yeah. Adding flavor to it, then I'm turning it to something. That is what we tend to be innovation, because you are creating value. Okay, there is a waste around your area. You now said, okay, this thing I can build something out of this. Then you have waste factory, or you see people lying down or people on the queue every time in the garage, and you now said, okay, since we always have congestion of people around here, what if I set up a public toilet here where there is none? Okay, now that is innovation. Okay, now we have corporate innovation, that is when a firm push to invent and improve from internal processes to external offerings. It is just all about adding value. It's just like they give you a paper. You went inside with the paper, you now came out with the same paper, but not just the paper now, a painted paper. Why? Because you've added value to that paper. That is innovation. Okay, now we have forms of innovation according to Hamel, Anderson, and Clark. Number one, technological. Technological. Example is self-driving cars. And this is usually led by research and design leading to new technology. People have been driving cars before, but some people just thought that, okay, what if we have self-driving cars? That's another form. The next one is product market. Innovation in marketing design, for example. Innovation in marketing or innovation in design. Of course, people have been going like working all around, going from one place to the other. But look at you, digital marketing is ruling it now. AI is into it now. AI is ruling it. So that is product market. In a situation where you have all your products and you are trying to simmer between, okay, what are the keywords I could use to drive traffic to my products? What are the keywords I could so those are the new innovations you are bring that's another form of innovation. The next one is administrative innovation. That is changes in managerial system. Instead of starting from the top down, you can decide that, okay, let's even remove the top and start from the middle down. What if we remove even the middle and start from the top then down? You understand? That is what we refer to as innovation. You change organizational structure. The next one is incremental innovation. That is, you are improving gradually. You are improving gradually but steady. For example, is faster smartphone. When myself and you, we know where we started. We remember where we started from. Nokia 3310 with an antenna on the head. But gradually the antenna went away. Gradually the button went away. The keyboard went away. Gradually the screen went away. Gradually the phone became bigger. Gradually, you understand? So they maintain it. We are still talking about the same phone, but incremental innovation. They keep improving in the advance. Maybe the OS was changed. Look at Microsoft Word, the way they were evolving and all of that. That is what we tend to be incremental innovation. Incremental innovation. This comprises of relatively small modifications to pre-existing solutions. You can read all of that, okay? The next one is modular innovation. This kind of innovation changes the core design of one or more components, but doesn't change the entire product. This type of innovation requires new knowledge for one or more components, but the architectural knowledge remains the same. A good example is digital phone, which replaced the analog phone without changing the phone itself. You understand the point now? It's just like you have a computer and you have an operating system. Now you see the operating system changing from one version to the other version to the other version, and there are core components of each of those versions. There is always home. Those are the core on the operating system. There is always home. There is always a desktop. There is always a computer. Whatever version the window is making, you will always see all of these core values. So in a situation where you are not changing the steering, you are only changing the tires, painting the body of the car, changing the windscreen, you change the bonnet, but steering remains the same, being the core. So that anybody that sees the steering knows that this is the brand. Okay? Another point, example is this digital cameras replacing film. It is still serving the same purpose but in an optimal level. The next one is architectural, rearranging existing components and all that. Then the next one, another one is radical. Radical. Radical, as the word implies, new system or new market entirely. New system or new market entirely. This type of innovation brings about a new dominant design and consequently a new set of core design concepts embodied in components that are linked together in new architecture. This is appearing new. You just realize that it is no longer Mr. Sam you are seeing, it is this person you are seeing. So that is radical. Radical in the sense that it's a new face entirely. And that is development, that is the innovation. An example is electric cars replacing combustion engines. You understand? The next one is disruptive innovation. That is market creating breakthroughs. Example is Uber disrupting taxis. How many taxis do you see outside again? Uber has taken over, especially in Abuja here. Another one is application, existing tech in new use cases. Example is AI, use of AI in farming. Me and you will know what is happening in the agricultural sector, genetical modification and all that. We know what is happening over there. And those are the innovations of people, right? The next one is product. The next one is process, experimental, marketing, business model, among others. You can read up, okay? Now let's finally look at phases of successful innovation according to Desouza et al. Number one is idea germination and mobilization. That's the point where you are brainstorming about the innovation, you are sharing the ideas, getting views from people. The next one is advocacy and screening. You are evaluating ideas, fairly evaluating it. Like, the first point, the idea drops on your head, the innovation drops on your head. What if I added this to this? Let me ask from people. Hey, come, let me ask you. Now, instead of buying water inside leather, what if I put it in a plastic? Would you like it? No, now it will be very nice so that at least one can be traveling out, traveling around with it. Okay, you've taken a view. Then you went back, you started evaluating. Okay, if I'm to do it, how much will I even earn? And all of that. Okay, that's the point of advocacy and screening. The next one is experimentation, testing viability of this old innovation in the real world. Let me read from here. The experimentation phase assess the sustainability of ideas for a particular firm at a particular time and in a particular environment. You want to see, okay, let me even try it. Testing the viability in the real world. It's not about you now conceiving it. It's not about you asking now, let me put one or two or three or four real. Then let me push it out. Let people then give me feedback. The next one is commercialization. After you've been able to experiment and you saw it fine, then you commercialize it. The next one is diffusion and implementation. That is broad adoption and scaling. A broad adoption and scaling. For example, a food startup tests a plant-based meat burger. That's experimentation. Then sells it. That's commercialization. And eventually rolls it out nationwide. That's diffusion. Yeah, at this point, I want to stop this lecture. By God's grace, I'll be going through to our next topic in the next video, which has to do with the business and the business environment. But as a recap, we have tried to look at what is entrepreneurial motivation, the dark side, the bright side, right? Then we've tried to look at what is innovation, what is creativity, the different phases of innovation, the different stages or phases of creativity. So thank you very much. Please subscribe, like, share, and please comment if you have any question. Bravo.